Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boot, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, being part of Joe Boot's network. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Let's get open and let's wake up to football gods. And you know what? Shout out to all the people who were here for our live streams to end last year and to bring in next year. This was the first time that I've actually used all three sets of the studio. I started out here, I ended up going over there, sitting down, and then we went outside, shot off some fireworks and things, and we zoomed in with some of you great fans. And for me, it was so great to put faces to names and just to get to know you guys a little bit better as we brought in a new year. Sadly, we know Betty White died last night at the age of 99, and waking up this morning, I'm a little bit late, so El Boogie, sorry, buddy, you can drink your coffee now. We come to find out at the age of 77 years old, former Dallas Cowboys and NFL coach Dan Reeves passed away at his house, peacefully surrounded by his family in Atlanta, Georgia. Dan Reeves took 3 teams to the Super Bowl, former Cowboys player, and another piece of the NFL legacy that is no longer with us. And, you know, this last couple of years, it's been just like hit after hit after hit of people passing that were influential in my life, from rappers to football stars. I mean, John Madden just a few days ago. And I invite a lot of you younger generation, because see, when you're young, you don't think anything happened before you came around. What you see now in football is what you think football is, without understanding that it was life before you. And just go back and look at some of those greats. If you have a chance, go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, because it will change you and change what you think you know about football. Because football is the greatest sport in the world, and I literally wake up every day thinking about football and relating it to things in my life. So Dan Reeves, you know, rest in peace, buddy. Rest in peace. For our Cowboys, we have 2 games left. There's 43 days, 7 hours, 21 minutes, and 27 seconds left until the kickoff of Super Bowl 56. Will the Cowboys have an opportunity to be there? That is the question. You know, it's kind of funny to me as my camera's off a little bit this morning. As I look at Diggs, John Owing of Pro Football Focus yesterday did a piece and rating Diggs. And he said basically he's all right, but he's not a great corner because he's not great against the run. Well, you could look and say Jamal Adams is a great safety against the run, but what is he against the pass? I mean, didn't he have like 8 sacks last year? Which was great until you got him into coverage. You get him into coverage, well, he stinks. Hang on. There we go. Broadcast media in full effect. One take here. One take Tom. So he was going on that Diggs is not really a great cornerback because he just gets interceptions. Like, interceptions are something that are easy to do. I want you to understand something here. I pointed out a couple of days ago that last year the Cowboys had more interceptions than usual. They had 10 as a team. But all the years between then and 2014, they had 10 twice. Some of those years they had 7 and 8. Diggs has 11 by himself. In fact, here's what's crazy. If interceptions are so easy, John Owen, then how come Diggs has more interception than 12 teams out there? 12 teams. Sure, he might give up a play or two, but there's no bigger stat than the takeaway. Getting the ball. I just don't know how. I just can't help you, John. I just can't help you on that one. Diggs is an absolute beast. Other news, Micah Parsons. I don't know if you guys have noticed this lately, and it may be that you look at it and you kind of pass it by. But my thumbnails have been when animals attack. I've been taking pictures and stuff, basically trying to put to light what Micah Parsons is saying. Micah Parsons, who likes to think of himself as the lion, he goes through and he studies film, and then he comes up with names for the way players play. And see, this thing is key, because I want you to think about this for a second. Listen to this. Micah Parsons watches film, and by the way people play is the names that he gives them. Beyond the whole name part, I want you to understand what he is doing. He is the leader. When you say, I'm watching films to come up with the names for the guys, that's a leader. As a freaking rookie, this is his defense. And so he was saying, Kyler Murray's like a cheetah, fastest animal out there. Let me read exactly what John Machado put out on a tweet. Micah Parsons compare Kyler Murray to a cheetah. Can a lion run down a cheetah? I'm not going to say that. The cheetah's the fastest animal. But I mean a lion doesn't go by himself. So if you have a pack of lions, then it's like the lion over the cheetah any day of the week. In other words, it's not just me that's coming after Kyler Murray. That's the DeMarcus Lawrence. That's the Randy Gregory. That's the Neville Gallimore. That's the Carlos Watkins. That's the Tristan Hill. We all coming after that ass. And that's key, because here's the thing that you've got to do about Kyler Murray is you cannot leave him a gap. You must have lane rush integrity. You must get pressure on the outside so he can't get outside, but you must also bring that pressure up the middle and cage him in so that way those lions can start feasting on him. I love Micah Parsons' analogies here. You know, I called Quentin Bohannon the rhino. Now, you know, Micah, forgive me if I'm stepping on your toes and all that. So don't come chase me down or anything. But we already know that you talk about Diggs being the eagle. And so I'm kind of going through, and you'll see today's where I've got a lion who's got that cheetah. Also, great news that we have today is Tyron Smith is back in the lineup. Full participant in practice the last couple of days and looks to be as healthy as he's been in quite a while. The Cowboys, with the exception of losing players, Quentin Bohannon and Keanu Neal, whoa, dude, to COVID a second time, are one of the healthiest teams in the NFL. And I dare say the defense will get better each week, because you have to understand this defense. Football is so different from when I grew up. When I grew up, you had 6 weeks of preseason games and practice and two-a-days. You got to know the defensive things. The NFL's not that way anymore. There's so few practices now. And this team hasn't really had an opportunity to really play together. We had Randy Gregory out with COVID, and you had DeMarcus Lawrence, who was gone for like 8 weeks with the foot. You had Micah Parsons, who has not the same guy when we played Tampa as he is now. You had all these new guys like Keanu Neal and Malik Hooker and Jaron Kearse that hadn't played in this defense together. You know, you brought in journeymen like Carlos Watkins and Brent Urban. And so it was always a rotation of guys. And this defense has played well. But now you're beginning to see consistent lineups where you have all of your playmakers. To have Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence is an amazing combination, where you've seen Randy Gregory literally grow up in front of your eyes, not having to worry about being suspended, having actually an off season together with Dan Quinn, the teacher, and he's becoming an absolute pass rushing beast. And you have now D-Law, who's been basically rested because of his foot. It may end up being the best thing for the Dallas Cowboys that he got to sit out those 8 games because he looks fresh. And Micah Parsons was able to develop. And now you've gotten some of the big men like Quentin Bohannon, you've got Tristan Hill, and you got Neville Gallimore, who showed you flashes last year. Now you've got a rotation of big people to wear out offenses. And you have depth. And you finally have all of those pieces now together, with the exception of Keanu Neal, who's out with COVID. And since he's unvaccinated, it's conceivable that he doesn't play next week against the Eagles as well. Hopefully he'll be ready by playoffs. So you're looking at a team on defense that the sky's the limit. And I think they're going to get better and better. Let's go to the experts and see how they're breaking down the Cowboys versus the Cardinals.
And the homecoming, Bucky Brooks and Brian Baldinger back with me here. I mean, Bucky, we gave some of the numbers earlier, all the touchdowns. He was 42-0 at home. I mean, in 42-0 in high school.
Yeah. Look, man, there's some that say he might be the best high school player they ever played in the state of Texas. And I think that is something to be considered because when you go and you look at what he was able to accomplish at Allen High School, he is definitely one of the best. And I think coming back home certainly can help him. And going around, being around Kyler Murray doing the Elite 11 process, people talked about the magic that he brings to the table. We've seen some of that magic with the Arizona Cardinals. The thing is, this year, he's only really relied on his arm. I think now heading down the stretch with the team slumping, I think he has to do everything. I think you need to see him run. He has to throw it. He has to be the MVP caliber playmaker that we saw early in the year because this offense is missing DeAndre Hopkins, and that has been a huge part of why this team hasn't lit up the scoreboard like they did the first 7 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm. You know, Bucky, I've got a farm not far from Allen High School. We used to joke that they built the football field and the stadium first, and then with the money they had left over, they built the school. You know, it's pretty important. It's a big deal, these kids coming back to Texas like this. You know, the one thing, when you watch them, though, Bucky, like, they're still putting up a lot of yards. They're just not putting up a lot of points. Their average move the football, they're going to score points. And they can snap out of this just the way Kyler said. You know, the way the Cowboys did, the way, we saw the Chiefs snap out of it. They're capable of doing it because they've got the firepower to do it with. And to your point, if Kyler wants to put the Jets on and take off like he did in those highlights at Allen High School, he can do that part.
Yeah, those highlights are amazing. Kyler did go in there last year into Dallas. Now, that was right after Dak got hurt. This was an Andy Dalton game. Cardinals beat him, and they beat him handily here. His passing numbers weren't great, 9 of 24, but he threw a couple of touchdowns, didn't get picked, and he did run for 74 yards and a touchdown there as well. So 3 total touchdowns. He plays well in Texas. Cardinals hoping they get that Kyler this Sunday. Thank you, Bucky. Thank you, Baldy. Joe Burrow played today.
Interesting. Yeah. And that's going to be the key here because he's lost, Hopkins and some of his offensive weapons is, can the Dallas Cowboys, can that defense keep him in the pocket and keep him from running? I'm hoping that they do. I'm hoping that we get that victory. And, I'm hoping against hope that the Minnesota Vikings can somehow find a way to win. Although last night listening to some of you great fans and stuff, some of y'all don't want us to get that number 1 seed. That some people are worried that if the Cowboys get that number 1 seed, have that extra week off, that bye week, that they may come back out and be rusty. That is definitely a possibility, and something that the Cowboys usually have not been great at is coming off of bye weeks. It seems like sometimes we start off a little bit slow. So there is a lot to that. And then, of course, there's if we lose to Arizona, we could actually fall further down the line. So the Cowboys need to get this victory. I think the Cowboys are very much focused in on being the best team that they can be. And more than anything else, I think that this team is truly a team that it's beyond individual accolades or honors or contract. It's about being the best team that they can be collectively and looking out for their teammates. There don't seem to be egos in that locker room, and it seems like there's enough to go around for everybody. And so with that being said, I want to wish you guys again a happy new year. May 2022 be all of our years. That is, if you're a Cowboy fan. Eagle fans, I don't want it to be your year. Just don't. You know I can't stand you. And tomorrow we will be live streaming like we always do. I'm Mark Holmes, and make it a great day. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is,